Okay, so as always, I want to welcome everybody, and I want to thank our speaker, who each woman who comes on and who literally gives their time to us. Thank you so much, Chaya. So Chaya Lester is a psychotherapist, writer, and spiritual guide, passionate about bringing Torah to life, synthesizing ancient Jewish wisdom, cutting-edge psychology, and the arts. Chaya's work is all focused on the goal of helping people thrive. Chaya holds an Ivy League BA in religious studies and MA in clinical psychology. She also did extensive doctoral work at Oxford University on the theme of experiential Torah learning. As co-director of Jerusalem's Shalev Center for Jewish Personal Growth, Chaya teaches workshops and classes to locals and visitors alike. Her one-woman show about Israel, Babel's Daughter, has been hailed as a masterpiece by audiences from around the world. Chaya leads transformative workshops both in Israel and internationally. She lives with her husband, Rabbi Hillel Lester, and their 4 energetic children in the vibrant heart of Jerusalem. Thank you so much, Chaya. I really, really appreciate you doing this. Thank you and welcome.
It's just an enormous uplift to be a part of this group and these words and the neshamas that are here and the work that we're all doing right now to be the army, the spiritual army, to the best of our abilities. And I want to say kol hakavod to every woman who's on here, giving of your heart and your soul for this work. This is our soldiering right now, and our soul soldiering right now. And just as the soldiers are out there risking their lives, we are here, doing everything in our power. And I know every woman on this call is living that reality, and it just means so much, and it's very touching. So I'm going to try not to cry. So how do we get through this in the highest way possible? Because we know that everything that God is sending us is here for our refinement, the elevation of the world, the fulfillment of our mission statement as Jews here in the world. And thank God we are gifted with a rich, endlessly rich tradition to prepare us for this moment. We've many Gilgulim, we have worked on preparing for this moment that we're in right now. And I like to exaggerate sometimes. It's part of my personality, but this is no exaggeration, is that we have all been working on this for Gilgulim, for this one, for this time around, this time that we're in right now. And I want to ground that in a couple of beautiful sources, and just kind of swim a little bit in some Kabbalah and in some Torah. And I also want to share some of my personal experiences. I know that so many of us are having really revolutionary growth and inner work that we're doing. And so please God, what I'd love to share is just trying to be helpful to all of us as we try to do our best in this army, in this war. So, of course, to situate us time-wise, in the great span of time, I always say that when I first came to Israel, I changed my life from living according to a 5-year plan to a 5,000-year plan. So according to the 5,000-year plan, the 6,000-year plan of Jewish history, we are at, as everybody here probably knows, a most monumental time. And I just want to ground this in the teaching from the Zohar, which probably you know already, but just as a reminder to all of us about the majesty of this time that we're in right now. So the Zohar is talking about how the quote from Genesis and the story of Noah, where it says, in the 600th year of Noah's life, all the well springs of the great deep burst forth, and the floodgates of heaven were opened. And the Zohar takes that line as a jumping off point for orienting us according to this large view of history by saying, in the 600th year of the 6th millennium, that being 5,600, which is 1840, the gates of supernal wisdom above, together with the well springs of secular wisdom below, will be opened, and the world will be prepared to usher in the 7th millennium. This is symbolized by one who begins preparation for the Sabbath on the afternoon on the 6th day. In the same way, towards the end of the 6th millennium, preparations are made for entering the 7th millennium. And okay, so this was a reference made to 1840. We know that that's the time of really, the beginning of the flooding of Chassidut and inner teachings on the Torah really coming out into the fore and out into light more and more, and how much we have grown even from that point of 1840. We've progressed and we have accumulated and we've refined ourselves from that point till now. So we're even closer and closer than that. So the idea being that specifically the generations preceding the Messianic era, there'll be this great coming together of spiritual wisdom and secular wisdom, which we've certainly seen in the world at large. But there's a game changer, and Rav Avram Sutton talks about this really powerfully. A couple of the sources I'm going to share are from his book, The Well of Living Waters. He talks about how there's a game changer where it used to be in previous generations, it was important to hide Kabbalah, to hide the secret wisdom in the Torah. But in our generation, it's necessary to bring it forth. And that's what the souls of today are thirsting and, ravenously hungry for, this inner teachings and the more of the Kabbalistic inner, it's like the soul of the Torah versus the body of the Torah. And that's really what I think so many of us, I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, having no Torah, but my soul was thirsty and sought it out. And thank God I, found my way here to Jerusalem. And we are the souls that are engaging in this bringing forth through our deep thirst is bringing forth these teachings of Torah, bringing forth these waters through our thirst. So every time we're teaching and every time, God, each of you who just prayed, it was just like the waters were just being pulled forth from your prayers. I heard it. I felt it. We all did. And it's just so profound to be a part of such community. So I want to share one more source and then kind of jump on, which is in 1936. So we know what was happening in 1936, right? This was the beginning of the rise of Nazism and the beginning of the Shoah and that destruction. So there was a Rabbi Israel Kamelhar in Poland who published a 700-year-old Kabbalistic manuscript from Eliezer Rokach of Worms. It's called Sodi Razi, my mystery, my secret, my mystery. And he was publishing this Kabbalistic secret book, which for 700 years, no one had looked at except for, in hidden cabals. And finally, he's bringing it out to light. And in the preface, his father writes the preface to the book, explaining why publish this secret tome now, right there at the beginning, and right in Poland at the beginning of the Shoah. So he quotes, Rabbi Yehuda ben Shimon opened his discourse saying, don't let a hypocritical man reign, nor those ensnare the people. It's fitting for people to grow wings and fly in the air rather than be subjugated under an awful king. He says in former generations, in times of forced conversions and in times of destruction, when lives hung in the balance, what would they do? They would gather people together and they would look deeply into the hidden Torah and draw forth wisdom and strength for the suffering nation. Guided by that wisdom, would they endure the challenges? Was by going towards the hidden secret wisdom and dwelling there. And it says in the Midrash, quoting from Devarim, Rav lachem sov et hahar hazeh, pnu lachem tzafona. Enough time that you've been sitting around this mountain, pnu lachem tzafona, turn to the north. And Rabbi Chia says, what is tzafona? What is this referring to? The north refers to hidden. It's like tzafun in the Pesach Seder, right? It's the hidden. So tzafon is this reference to the hidden, and turn towards the hidden teachings. And there you will, from learning the hidden teachings and engaging in the mystic ways, you will grow wings and you will fly and you'll ascend from these painful strictures of the scary situations, and you'll be redeemed by doing this work of turning towards the hidden material, and from there being elevated. So that's the kind of the Torah at the heart of what I'm wanting to share right now is, and really an invitation to us as women. We're not going out there with the guns. I mean, there are women fighting, but our work is more internal. It's more hidden. And so how do we do that? And so I think that's through things like prayer, and it's through things like our inner work that we do of self-refinement. And I also want to really bring into the fore the power of dreams, because that's exactly what dreams are. Is dreams, as we know, are a portal to hidden material. Our dreams are our hidden material. It's what happens when we go into the darkness of our consciousness and we engage with that level of hiddenness. Is we access the tzafon, the hidden material within us, and we bring it to light. And when we bring to light the hidden material, there's a transformation that happens, that's healing, that's aligning, that's life-saving, I would add. And that's an orientation that we today, in the middle of this upheaval and this dangerous time, we can turn to, is turning towards our own hidden material and lifting it up and creating awareness around it. So dreams are probably the most powerful portal to doing that. According to everybody, knows the incredible source from Derech Hashem, from the Ramchal, that says what happens every night when we go to sleep is we have the layers of the Naran Chai and the layers of our soul, and all of the layers of our soul, except for the Nefesh, are able to ascend and go up and travel in the upper realms, in the celestial realms, and receive information about what's going to happen in the future. This is shot word for word in Derech Hashem. Every night we have access to rising up, elevating into the celestial realms, and receiving guidance and direction and information for our souls, that if we are able to, then when we come back down in the morning into our bodies, we can retain that information and bring it down the ladder of our consciousness. This is the goal, is to retain that information and bring it into this world, into the revealed world. That also is a revealing of the hidden material, when we're able to connect the layers, the rungs of our consciousness, to connect our unconscious with our conscious and say, I remember my dream, to write it down, to share it with friends, to talk about it. I always say when I'm hanging out with a new friend, I'm like, you need to know, if we're going to be friends, you're going to have to listen to me tell you about my dreams. That's just a prerequisite for this relationship, is I'm going to talk about my dreams and I want to hear about yours. So sorry if you're not game. It's important to talk about this material. We need it desperately, and it's undervalued in our society, extremely undervalued. We want to change that. We need to change that. So I want to say that, and I want to share a couple of my own dream experiences and hopes. And I know that many of you, probably most of you, have had your own dream experiences through your spiritual development, but probably also around this war. I've talked to so many people who have had very profound and important dream experiences and messages in the course of this war. It's a thing. It's happening. And we need to bring that to the surface more, I believe. I mean, everybody's going to have their own avoda here. Everybody has their own gifts and their own strengths. I'm sitting here in Nachlaot surrounded by so many women who are like organizational forces, who are helping so many soldiers and evacuated families, and they're very organized and amazing cooks. And that's not me. I'm a dreamer. So we all got to do our thing. But for the dreamers out there, and I want to encourage the dreamer and each of us to be engaged with this tzafon, this hidden material. So October 7th happens. And of course, we're in total shock and trauma. And I keep on reminding myself, this dream keeps on coming to my head and gives me so much comfort and so much guidance. And I just have little snippets of it. I remember finally, a day and a half later, I'm like, I gotta find this dream so I can remember what it is, because it's coming to me so strong. And so I this is one tip, by the way, pro tip for dreamers, is in the morning, I wake up every morning and I record into my phone a voice message of whatever I have dreamed. Or I wake up in the middle of the night with a dream memory, and I'll get up in the middle of the night, and I'll go and record it on my phone. So it's there. And then I take every, 3 weeks or so, I sit with my recordings and I put them all into a Google Doc on my Google Drive. So I have one document that contains all of my dream material recorded. And I'm able to go in and just go into the search button, and I put in, for this, in this particular instance, I put in the word tree because that's what I remembered. And boom, voila, there is my dream that I had been thinking about since October, since it hit. Okay, here's the dream. So I'm reading over it, and I'm like, I forgot entirely that actually the dream was a second part of a 2-part dream. And then I start reading the first part of the 2-part dream. And I know I'm kind of like leaving you hanging here. I'll tell you what the dream is, but I noticed that the day that this dream happened was exactly 1 year to the exact Hebrew date of October 7th. It was exactly 1 year later that but 1 year previous, I'd had the dream. So I'm finally looking at the dream. And the first dream was an utter nightmare. It was October 7th. It was a dream of October 7th. It was an intense barrage of missiles, and also the Hamas Nikim coming in, and it was October 7th. And I remember waking up from the dream, and I recorded into my phone, oh my God, how dare you do this to us? You already did to us the Holocaust. Why? How in the world how is this repeating? I can't believe, because there's sometimes when you really get to know your dreams, when one is prophetic and one is just like your own personal material that you're sorting through from dinner. So this I knew was a prophetic dream, and I said that in my description when I was recording it. This is a prophetic dream, and I'm very not happy that this is the content. And I prayed. I did Ana B'Koach, and I did my prayers as we know to do. And I said, but I can't let this be the end of this fortune telling. It's not going to end with this horrific scene. No. So what I did is I went back to sleep with the kavanah to re-engage with the material and to see what's on the other side of it. Because always on the other side of our nightmares is some tikkun, is something that we're getting through. There's some place where we're always learning through. So another pro tip is whenever you do have a nightmare, you have to wake up and pray about it. Okay, like pray, protect yourself, pray for better outcomes, but then go back to sleep, and go back and engage that material again and see what's on the other side, and engage the scary stuff and fight with the scary stuff. So in this particular instance, I went back to sleep, and this is now the dream that I had remembered, when October 7th hit. And this was the dream. It's a Messianic era. And I'm gathered there with my grandchildren, and we're wearing beautiful, colorful clothes, and we're underneath this beautiful, fruitful tree. And all of us have been refined by the incredible process that began with the day of that horrible attack. So I'm sitting on the other side of it, and I'm sitting with the grandchildren, and I have this little phone thing, and I'm showing them all the images of the process that started on that day of that attack and got us to the point of the messianic redemption that we were currently in. And I'm showing, the first stop is represented in the dream by a tree that gets destroyed and burned out, and a horrible husk of a tree. That husk gets taken out, and I'm showing the kids, here's the husk, here's where it got burned, here's the attack, here's where they take out the tree. Next image, here's where they bring in a new tree. And here's where that new tree starts to flourish. And I'm showing the kids these stages and these stages of the messianic progression. And each one is crucial. And and the whole point of all of it was to refine us to we all be in a state of total God consciousness. That's the goal. Total God consciousness of the entire where everybody knows that God is the one in control, and that God is sending whatever God sends. In this messianic vision, we were not entirely done with the threat, by the way. There was still around the border, there was some threats, but it didn't matter because we were so in God unitary consciousness and God consciousness that we're well, okay, if God needs to send that, then okay. It was a totally refined national refinement. And that was the dream part that I remember that gave me so much solace. But how much even more powerful was it for me to go back and see the process of, oh, wait, the beginning of we know this. We've been taught this for generations, that the birth pangs of Mashiach hurt. There is, unfortunate, doesn't have to be, but it's turning out right now to be. But we have to know, and I really want to give us chizuk to know that on the other side of this, and not on the other side, but through the process of experiencing this and digesting it and praying it down. And I'm not saying spiritual escapism of saying everything's great, this is the messianic process. No, we have to feel the pain. The protocol is not to skip over the pain and just say, oh, this is cool, we're going to get Mashiach. No, we have to feel the pain. We have to, those tears that, those prayers that everybody just did, we have to bring that. That is part of the material. We all know the incredible formula, and I'm going to stop talking in a minute. We all know the incredible formula of moving from Gola to Geula, according to Chabad Hasidus. Gola, of course, means the exile consciousness of Galut, versus Geula, which means the redeemed consciousness. The only difference between Gola and Geula is the insertion of an aleph. When we take the material of the Gola, of the exile, and the pain of that, we then insert the divine letter aleph into the middle. Then we get Geula. We cannot have Geula without the painful Gola. It's not the way it works. If you don't have Gola, you can't have Geula. It's the recipe. You cannot have the challah without the flour and hope that it's going to work. No, you put the flour and you put the eggs. You need all the ingredients. So for whatever reason, God has chosen that the ingredients of Geula contain the pain of Gola. It is unavoidable. We have to live it, breathe it, pray it down, cry it down, feel it all the way through our kishkas in order for the full Geula to be birthed. And that's what we're doing. And we have no choice, because here it is. And that's a comfort, I think, I hope, I believe. So what does the Rebbe say is the inserting the aleph. Aleph is aluf haolam. It's the consciousness of God being the ruler of the world. Aleph is also the letters of Pele, which means miracle, recognizing the miraculous pieces that are here, recognizing the Pele. And it's also ulpana. Ulpana means schooling. It's an ulpan. I have to learn. We have to go through a learning process of ulpana, where we're just like steigen away at figuring this out, and it's hard, but we're working on it. Aluf, Pele, Ulpana. These are our teachings that are sustaining us and guiding us through this process. We got this, y'all. We've been prepared and preparing for this for Gilgulim, and we're finally here. I will say this other piece from my own experience. I remember being in Oxford and studying in academia, which was just horrible. I hated it. And I remember learning about this thing, there's like all the stuff you learn in academia, and it's the footnotes, but then there's this wonderful area of academia called phenomenology. And phenomenology is about people's experiences and taking those seriously and reporting on people's experiences and valuing it. So I'm going to be phenomenological when I share these little scenarios. So it's part of our study. It's part of our opana, is to learn how to do this stuff. So I'm sharing my own experience. So probably about a week ago, I had a dream. And in this dream, I was given a guide. And the guide was teaching me about how to dream and understand what I'm being shown in the dream. Okay, cool. And sometimes that happens in dreams, right? We're given guidance. Not all, it doesn't happen often, but sometimes it happens. Really cool. The next night, though, I had a real dream. And this dream was where I was in a battle. I was in a battleground with this kind of wizard, this dark wizard. And it's very scary. And all of a sudden, this roaring voice comes out of me, and I say, "In the name of Yud K and Vav K, I call in God to destroy you." And I just started calling out in my dreams, started calling out very loudly the names of God. And I was terrified and startled. Oftentimes when we get really startled in a dream or like something big happens, we'll wake up. It kind of pushes us into consciousness. I woke up, I was like, oh my God, recorded the dream. And I said, I got to go back in. So I went back in to engage with the material. And now I was at this second dream, I was in these tunnels, and I was going through these tunnels with names of God. And I was just, it was like I was shooting the terrorists with names of God. And I don't know, I like inoculated probably a couple dozen terrorists that night. And who knows, fanciful, wishful thinking. I don't know, my guess and my hope, and I trust that this has some impact in the world when we do this work in the hidden realms. Can't ever know. We'll never have any proof of that. But it's something I can do. And it's something we all can do. And so one formula I really want to share with you that I hope can be a takeaway for you is don't be afraid to have nightmares. We are having nightmares right now. And we should be. We're in a nightmarish scenario. Nightmares are going to happen. They're a natural expression of our anxiety. Fine. From a psychological perspective, okay, yeah, makes sense. You're working out your psychological issues. But from a spiritual perspective, we're doing serious work when we have those nightmares. And we're really working through, hopefully, something in the collective unconscious of the world. That's the power of human psyches and national psyches and the collective unconscious. So thank God that's a field that's been pioneered, and we have some fruits from that. We have these concepts of the collective unconscious. So we have the Jewish teachings on it, we have psychological teachings on it, but the way that you can contribute to the healing and the enlightenment and the beating down of the dark is in your dreams. When you have a nightmare, fight the bad guy. I'm saying this to you right now. Your consciousness is hearing me, but your unconscious is also hearing me. Next time you have a scary dream, fight the bad guy. Make a phone call, find a phone somewhere in the dream, make a phone call to angels to come help you, or police people. Call in for help. This stuff works. Call in for help. Just by hearing me talking about it right now, you'll be able to do it more in your dreams. You might not remember it, but you'll do it. Believe that. Call in for help. Believe that you can beat whatever scary force it is, even if seems to be incredibly stronger than you. Believe that you can beat it, and then do whatever in your power to attack it, to beat it down, to fight it, to kill it, to shoot it, whatever it takes to destroy the negative material in the dream. And that's our warfare in the hidden realms that I want to invite us to. If you wake up from the dream and you're not able to go back in, you can do it consciously. Will also work. You can say, okay, I'm going to use my imagination right now to imagine a better, I'm going to imagine beating up that negative thing in the dream or fighting it in some way. You can write it out. All of these ways of bringing the unconscious and to a shidduch with the conscious is going to be effective. Unconscious and conscious shidduchim that's the matchmaking we want to be doing. So you can do that through writing. If you have a scary dream, and you can write out what it would look like if you were to beat the bad guy. Okay. So this works on multiple layers simultaneously. There's the layer of my own personal material that I'm working out my issues, and it's personal, and it's not about the nation. But then there's also a layer where it is about the nation and it is about the world. And we have multiple layers that are going on simultaneously, and that's fine. So, of course, and with this I end, is Yaakov. What does Yaakov do before he goes and he prepares for his battle with Esav? Is he has a dream. According to the Rambam, that encounter is a dream encounter with the Sar of Esav, with the spirit on a spiritual level of Esav. And within that, that's where he gets his name, Yisrael. That's where Israel comes from. Is from a battle in the hidden realms that you cannot see, but is very real and has very tangible impact in the world. And for a long time in human consciousness, we've just poo-pooed dreams, and we've just poo-pooed this and that as imaginative and fanciful and immaterial. But it's valuable and it's necessary. We need to go to the tzafon, especially in times of danger. So that's my prayer, is that whatever is coming up for you as I'm talking about this can help you, can help us all just take our inner world a little bit more seriously, believe in prayer, believe in dreams, believe in the hidden and the impact of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chaya. Thank you. That was great. That was amazing. And I think it is well, because I have to go, but I just want to tell you, I think most people are afraid of those parts. I think we don't realize that when you look at even, we just heard with Yosef and the dreams, and we know the whole concept of dreams, but we've lost a lot of these things because I think everybody's afraid to go to these sorts of places. They seem like weird. They seem strange to us. And anything I think that seems strange to us it brings on a level of fear. And I think that what you bring out is unbelievable. I think it's so true. And it's so necessary to connect to all these parts of ourselves and not be afraid. Not be afraid. Know Hashem is in, So Chaya, I want, I know people probably have questions, but I have to run. Can people contact, if they have any questions about this, can people text you or anything like that if I give it out?
Absolutely. Of course. And
Okay.
I do sessions with people, and let's do this work,
Okay, thank you, Chaya. Thank you. You'll send me the information and I'll share it with the WhatsApp. And thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank
Go
you.
team.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Chaya.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, guys.
תודה. תודה רבה.